what's up, hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys the books that I bought in the month of July. I have another well-rounded haul for you guys today. I have some YA, some middle grade, some adult, some backlist titles, some new books, some upcoming books, and I'm just really excited. Additionally, a handful of these books are ones that I actually have read in the past, ones that I recently finished, or ones that I'm currently reading, so I get to talk a little bit about my thoughts too, which is really great. Firstly, I bought a full series, which I have not done in a really long time, but it is the Crazy Rich Asians series by Kevin Kwan, which includes Crazy Rich Asians, China Rich Girlfriend, and Rich People Problems. Initially, I just bought Crazy Rich Asians when I was out book shopping with Monica from She Might Be Monica because I know she loves this series and the movie is coming out really soon, so I've been very interested in picking it up. I did read it for the biannual bibliothon this past month, and when I was about halfway through, I was like, I need the whole series, I have to read it. I originally went into this book thinking like I would just be cool with just reading the first installment and watching the movie and like moving on with my life, but it's definitely something I am intent on completing, so I have the full series now. If you have not seen the glitzy, glamorous trailers for the movie adaptation of Crazy Rich Asians, it follows a Chinese girl named Rachel who is traveling to Singapore with her boyfriend named Nick for the summer. What Rachel does not know is that Nick's family is one of the most wealthy families in all of Singapore. They are extremely rich, they have so many different family members, and Rachel is totally not prepared. So it basically follows Rachel as well as some other members of Nick's family throughout this summer in Singapore, where Rachel is getting accustomed to the life that Nick grew up in, and it is just full of drama and shenanigans and scandals, and it was really fun. I had an absolute blast reading the first book in this series. I will be talking more about it in my wrap-up, but I definitely plan on picking up the next two books in this series really soon because I really want to hold on to the interest I have in it. The next book that I bought in the month of July was another recommendation from Monica, and I did actually buy it while we were book shopping. We were in a Barnes & Noble and they didn't have it, so I just sat on the floor and ordered it off of Amazon. But it is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. I'm actually currently reading this book. I am like 5 hours into the audiobook. I'm almost halfway done and I started it like yesterday, which is wild, but I am loving this book. Oh my goodness. This book has also been recommended to me time and time again by Sarah from Sarah Without an H. Her and Monica just love this series, and I 5 hours in can say I absolutely love it too. Nevermore is a middle grade fantasy series that follows a girl named Morgan who has lived her life believing she is cursed. She's blamed for all of the misfortunes in her town, and she is said to die on her 11th birthday. But before she can meet her predicted fate, she is chased by shadowy hunters, not shadow hunters, shadowy hunters, and is whisked away by a man named Jupiter who takes her to a magical city called Nevermore. And she is basically placed in this competition to receive a placement in the Wondrous Society, which is like a really big deal in Nevermore, and she essentially has to complete 4 dangerous, really difficult trials, or she has to leave the city forever and confront her fate back home. I am loving this book so far. It is extremely whimsical and magical and just makes me happy to read. It is the first book in so long, probably ever, that has given me honest, true Harry Potter vibes, so I'm really excited to keep reading, and I will definitely let you guys know what I think when I finish. The first book that was sent to me in the month of July is from Disney Hyperion, so thank you so much to Disney Hyperion for sending me a copy of The Darkest Legacy by Alexandra Bracken. You may have heard of The Darkest Minds before, which is one of my all-time favorite dystopian series, and The Darkest Legacy is a sequel that takes place 5 years after the conclusion of the original trilogy. Because it is a sequel, I am not going to talk too much about the plot of this story, but it follows one of my favorite characters named Suzume, or Zoo, and she's basically on the run from the government again, and it just sounds so awesome. I really miss the world of The Darkest Minds. I'm excited because the movie is coming out soon, but you know, here on BookTube we always prefer books, and so I'm very excited for this follow-up sequel. I'm really interested to see what I think because there's been a lot of old school YA series that have gotten sequels recently that a lot of people haven't been fans of, but I have so much faith in Alexandra Bracken and this world, and I can't wait to see what I think. So the next book I purchased in the month of July was also from a book shopping trip with Monica from She Might Be Monica. We went like a week after the first time, and it is Cat and Meg Conquer the World by Anna Prima. I actually picked this up at a secondhand bookshop called Blue Stocking, I believe it was. It was my first time there, and it was a really nice bookstore. But basically, we went to their very small YA section, and I saw this book for $5, and I was like, I'm never going to find this book for a smaller amount, and I don't have a final copy, so I really wanted to get it, and it was a very good decision. Essentially, a year or two ago, I was sent an arc of Cat and Meg Conquer the World to review, but I never picked up a final copy despite really enjoying the story, so I'm super happy I have one now. This is a great underrated YA contemporary story. It follows two girls named Cat and Meg. Cat has anxiety and panic attacks, and Meg is Black and has ADHD, and basically these two girls seemingly have nothing in common. They are put together to work on a year-long science project, and they end up bonding over the fact that they watch the same online gaming streamer. This is a really adorable story, just focused on girl friendship. It is so healthy and heartwarming and nerdy and geeky, and it has all of the great things I love to read about in happy YA contemporaries. I feel like I've seen almost no one read Cat and Meg Conquer the World but myself, but it's a really, really great story. If you're looking for something upbeat that will make you smile and laugh and just make you feel all fuzzy inside, Cat and Meg Conquer the World is a really great choice. The next book that I bought in the month of July is one that I stumbled across while book shopping with Monica, but I ended up not buying until a week or so later because it just really stuck with me and I felt like I needed to have it, and that is The List by Patricia Ford. You may have seen this in one of my Bibliothon vlogs when I went to Barnes & Noble, and I finally picked it up. This is a middle grade story that just had a synopsis that really struck me. It's been quite a long time since I have just strolled into a bookstore, looked at a synopsis, and really wanted to read it. I get most of my recommendations online from this community, so I just felt like it was a sign and I just needed to have it. The List takes place in a city called Ark, where humans are able to survive by only using 500 words. I don't know if y'all know how big languages are, but they are much more than 500 words. But the exception to this law is our main character named Letta, who is the apprentice to the wordsmith, who is a person who knows all of the forbidden words and is teaching them to Letta. One day the wordsmith disappears and Letta is forced to take on the role of wordsmith, and the leaders of Ark are pressuring her to limit the list even more so that there are less words that people can speak, and she runs into a boy who happens to know some forbidden words that he shouldn't, and it just sounds so amazing. Immediately when I think of this book, I get some The Giver vibes, which was a book I really enjoyed when I read it. So I just felt like this would be a really great pick for me, especially considering I've been so into middle grades recently. I'm particularly interested to see how the author accomplishes having a vocabulary of only 500 words for the majority of the characters in the story to use, and probably Letta's narration in the beginning at least. So it just sounds really unique and interesting, and I cannot wait to read it. The next book on this haul is Hocus-Pocus and the all-new sequel. Funny story, I actually bought this book at the same time as The List, and then the next day it was sent to me by Disney Hyperion. So thank you so much to Disney Hyperion for sending me a book I already owned and was already interested in. So this is a very interesting book. Essentially, like, the first third of it is a young adult novelization of the iconic movie Hocus-Pocus, which we all know and love. And then the last 2/3 of this book is a completely new YA novel sequel to the original story of Hocus-Pocus. It follows Max and Allison's daughter named Poppy as the Sanderson sisters have once again returned to Salem, and Poppy is caught in the middle of it. I did hear online that this book does feature a relationship between two girls, so I am all about diversifying stories from our childhood that we have loved. I have to say, I don't have super high expectations for this story. I'm trying to go into it with like very low hopes because I just feel like a YA novelization of a story that came out like 20 years ago, it's just like a really bizarre choice. Despite that, I'm still super interested. I 100% plan on reading it very soon. We're like moving into the fall season and it's time for some Halloween spooky reads. It's July as I'm filming this, but I'm excited for Halloween and I'm excited to read this book, and I will definitely be letting you guys know what I think, whether it's not as great as I'm assuming or maybe it'll just blow me away. I'm not sure yet, but I'm excited. Now, if you watched my haul from last month, you might have noticed that I picked up a few UK editions of some books that I love, and one of them I actually had to pre-order, wait for it to come out, and then have it to come in, but that book is More Happy Than Not by Lovera. This is the new UK paperback, and I love it. It has all of these shiny, smiley, frowning faces all over it, and I just think it's a really, really cool cover style. If you have not heard of More Happy Than Not, it is a very popular book in the booktube community. It follows a boy named Aaron, and it takes place in this sort of near futuristic New York City where there is this medical procedure called the Lateo procedure that allows you to remove memories. Aaron has had a tough life. His family lives in poverty. He lost his father to suicide a few years ago. He's trying to get his life back on track with this girlfriend that is one of his best friends, but he meets a boy named Thomas who really changes the game for him. This book is Own Voices for the Gay and Latinx representation, and it is a really emotional, heartbreaking story. If you have not read it yet, I would highly recommend it. It's one of my faves, and I'm very excited to have the UK edition. So earlier this month, I had the really amazing opportunity to attend an event called Epic Reads Day, which is obviously hosted by the YouTube channel and website Epic Reads. They opened up the doors to the HarperCollins office. They invited some readers in for panels and Q&As and games and signings and free books, and it was just a really amazing day. I vlogged the whole experience if you want to check it out. It was super fun, and I have a ton of awesome books to show you. I did a quick haul of these books in that vlog, and there are a few books that I was given that I am donating because I already own them, so I'm not going to include them. I'm only going to include the new books that I now have my own copies of. The first is What If It's Us by Lovera and Becky Albertalli. I actually started this book yesterday, and I'm loving it so much. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. What If It's Us comes out this October, and it follows a Jewish boy with ADHD called Arthur and a Puerto Rican boy named Ben. The two of them meet at the post office when Ben is mailing back his ex's things after a recent breakup, and then the two supposedly are off to never see the other again. In a string of unlikely and awkward circumstances, Arthur and Ben find their way back to each other and go on a series of failed first dates, and it's basically a question of, is the universe pushing us together or pulling us apart? It has a really wonderful gay romance, which I'm loving so far, and I just think if you're a fan of Adam's work, of Becky's work, or if you just like cutesy contemporaries, this is definitely one I'd recommend putting on your list so far. So the next book that I got at Epic Reads Day is American Street by Ibiza Boy. I had never read anything from Ibiza Boy, but seeing her speak at Epic Reads Day really motivated me to read her books, and I will definitely be starting with American Street. All I really know about American Street is it follows a girl named Fabiola who is from Haiti, and her mother is detained by US Immigration Services, and it's basically just her experience of being with her cousins, trying to fend for herself, and figuring out what it means for her to be in this country. It was a National Book Award finalist. I have heard nothing but high praise for this book, and it's definitely one I really want to read very soon. And then along with American Street, we also got a copy of Ibiza Boy's most upcoming release, and that is Pride, which comes out this September. Pride is actually a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. I have never personally read Pride and Prejudice, but I am definitely interested in this remix retelling. Our main character's name is Zuri, and she is an Afro-Latinx girl living in Brooklyn, but things seem to be changing in her beloved town when a rich family called the Darcys move in across the street. Zuri's sister Janae starts falling for one of the Darcy boys, which leads Zuri to have to befriend the other Darcy boy named Darius, and it is just the story of the summer of these two people and where their initial dislike turns into a beautiful love story. Now, while American Street is supposedly very deep and intense, Pride is really like a fluffy love story with a heavy influence on Brooklyn culture, and so I'm really excited to read it. I think it'll be something that, even though I haven't read Pride and Prejudice, I think it'll still be really like attainable for me to understand and to grasp. It just seems really great, and I'm very excited. Also at Epic Reads Day, we got a copy of Queens of Fenburn, which are two novellas from the Three Dark Crowns series, all written by Kendara Blake. This one features the young queens and the Oracle Queen. I believe the first story follows the three main characters of Three Dark Crowns, and then the second one follows a previous queen, so it's like a little prequel novella. I read the first two books in the Three Dark Crowns series earlier this year, and I really loved them. They were such fantastic, intriguing intricate, deep fantasy stories, and I cannot wait for book 3. So to hold me over until what is maybe September or October, sometime in fall, I now have these 2 novellas that I'm really interested in. And the last book from Epic Reads Day is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning, which I believe has been described to me as sort of like an Ursula retelling. Our main character's name is Evie, and her best friend Anna unfortunately recently drowned. So Evie has been having a difficult time grieving, but one day from across the water, she sees a girl who looks exactly like Anna and believes that her friend survived. What I can grasp from the synopsis is that Evie and Anna are reunited, they fall in love with these 2 princes. It seems like their lives are working out, but there are some issues with Anna after she has drowned, and Evie basically has to find a way to help her and also save her prince. The last line of the synopsis says, "The rise of Hans Christian Andersen's iconic villainess is a heart-wrenching story of friendship, betrayal, and a girl pushed beyond her limits to become a monster." And so that makes me think that this is not going to be like a redemption story for Ursula, but more of like a prequel origin story for how she became the villain that we know, which I'm really excited for. It reminds me of Heartless in that respect, and I loved Heartless. So I'm very interested in reading this one. We like definitely don't get enough like magical sea-inspired fantasies, so I'm really interested to see what I think. And the last book in this haul was just sent to me by Simon Teen. I'm very grateful that they sent it to me because I was getting ready to order it myself, but it is the movie tie-in edition of To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I read To All the Boys I've Loved Before back in 2014, and I just sort of missed the hype for a couple of years, and I ended up finishing the series this year, which I really enjoyed. It's a fun, cutesy contemporary story, and I would definitely recommend it. If you have not heard of To All the Boys I've Loved Before, it follows a girl named Lara Jean Song Covey, who is a Korean-American girl living with her father and 2 sisters, and throughout her life she has written love letters to boys, but always hidden them away and never sent them. But things change when Lara Jean's letters are accidentally sent to the original recipients, and all of her past loves come to confront her about what she has written about them. And so it is just a drama-filled, tension-filled, fluffy contemporary story that I really loved. I'm super happy that we were getting a film adaptation of this movie. I feel like it's gonna be so great. I loved the trailer, and I just think it's gonna adapt to film so well. So definitely don't forget to support this movie if you are interested, because it's so good. But thank you to Simon for sending me a copy of this book. I love it, and I can't wait for the movie. Alrighty, well that concludes my July book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed. I have so many amazing books that I got this month. I can't wait to continue diving into them because I've already read quite a few, and I love them so much. Definitely let me know in the comments below what was your favorite book that you bought or read or received in the month of July, because I would love to know. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!